Hello, and welcome to Verbling. I am Teacher Oakley, and for the next hour, this class will be looking at reported speech again. This is a mini-series this week here on Verbling. At this particular time spot, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Yesterday, we covered the basics of reported speech. We looked at reported speech when used for statements, both for actual reported speech to report beliefs and what somebody else is thinking or believes in, and what people said specifically. So a lot of information covered yesterday. Today, we're going to look at some specifics, little nuances, slight differences when we use reported speech in questions and requests. A lot of the same type of information as yesterday, but a few little tweaks, a couple little things that we do differently. Okay. Let me start out by welcoming students to the class. Hello, Heidi.
Hello, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. Nice to see you again, back in my office.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hooray.
Hello, David, my buddy.
There's your buddy. Hi, David.
Hello. Hello. Hello, teacher. Hello. Hi.
Hi.
My mate.
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Great. Nice to have you aboard again. And it appears that Gina has joined us. Hello, Gina.
Hi.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm fine.
Great, glad to hear it. And it looks like Sasha has joined us. Hello, Sasha. Hi, Sasha.
Hello, teacher.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello. I'm okay. I'm good. Thank you. I'm doing okay. Okay. We're going to continue today looking at reported speech, questions, and requests. Okay. We did in fact cover a lot of ground yesterday. So we may be reviewing some of that, talking about some of that, because we really covered more than I thought we would. Today we're going to concentrate on questions, requests. Let me start by screen sharing some information here. Okay. Okay. When transforming questions, this should look familiar. Check whether you have to change the following. And actually, these are all the same things, which we looked at yesterday. Okay. Well, okay, you guys were here yesterday. Let's see if you remember what we're talking about. All the same things we may have to change in statements. Let me quickly welcome Mustafa to the class. Hello, Mustafa.
Hello, teacher. How are you today?
I'm okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. Heidi, what does it mean we might have to change pronouns? Like what? Can you give me an example? Ooh, it's a review quiz. Very difficult.
Change pronoun.
Yeah, in a reported speech. Well, thinking about
Reported speech.
Yeah, thinking about just statements. Kind of reviewing yesterday a little bit.
He told me you are late, like that. Then he told me you are late. Then he told me that I changed pronoun. I had been late.
Okay, right. All right. Bob is a stinker. If I report it to Bob, he said you were a stinker. Yeah, I changed Bob to you. Right. So when you report speech, you may have to change the pronoun. Even as in my example, a proper noun to a pronoun. He said you were a stinker. Okay. David, what does this mean? You may have to be aware of present tense verbs, third person verbs.
Yes, because you are going to talk in third person. For example, if I say I don't like your classes, it's false. I like it, but I don't like your classes. You have to say he doesn't like my classes.
There you go. I couldn't have said that much better. So just what we're talking about is because you might have to change the pronoun, as we just talked about. Actually, I think Heidi changed an I pronoun from a first person to a third person. Of course, you have to maintain your verb conjugation, your subject verb agreement, so you may have to change, in other words, add an S or subtract an S, usually, more likely than not, to the verb to keep that subject-verb agreement. That is correct. Very good. Alrighty. Further reviewing. Gina, what does it mean that we might have to change place and time expressions? Can you give me an example in reported speech?
For example, Kelly is coming here. She told Kelly was coming there.
Okay. She said, not told, but she said. Yeah, we're going to talk about told a little later in today's lesson, but okay. She said Kenley was coming there. Right. The here and the there may change, for example, depending where you are. If you happen to be in the place they're talking about, then it's going to be here. Whether the here was in the actual speech or in the reported speech later. Right. That's it. And of course, time. If he said, okay, he said yesterday, now he said, I will be there tomorrow, but then I report this today, so I would have to report it. He said he would be here today. Right, so you have to be aware of where you are and what time it is, what day it is. Okay, and then the big one, the Grand Kahuna, back shift. Okay, Sasha, what's an example of back shift in reported speech?
Back shift means you should use the time, the previous time that was spoken in a sentence.
Than, comparing, so use than.
Then.
The more previous time, okay. Than was used in the spoken sentence. Can you give me an example?
Yes. For instance, somebody says, I like drive a car. I say, he said that he loved. Oh no. He loved drive a car.
Love to drive a car, but now you're showing back shift and you're also showing exaggeration, Sasha. He just said he liked it. He didn't say he loved it. Okay. All right. Well, anyway. Yeah, that's the idea. All right. If somebody actually speaks and says, I like to drive a car, but you report it later, he said that he liked to drive a car. Okay. That's it. So you may have to change the tense, the verb tense, to a later verb tense. Of course, if you get all the way back, as tenses shift backwards, if you get all the way back to a past perfect tense, you're up against the wall there. You can't go any further back than past perfect. So when you do reported speech of a past perfect verb tense, it just stays past perfect. You can't go any more backwards than that's as far as you can get, past perfect. Okay, well, all right, good job, everyone. All right, you remember. All right, so when transforming questions, there's a couple other things that you may have to do in addition to all these we looked at yesterday. Okay, so this is basically today's lesson, or most of it. Also, note whether you have to transform the question into an indirect question. It could have been originally spoken as a direct question. All right. Okay, so he said, "Can you bring me my keys?" And then later I reported he asked if I could bring him his keys. Oh, wait, there's the next one. I'm getting ahead of myself. Now we're going to look at examples and practice them here. So don't sweat it. Don't panic yet. You also have to decide if you're going to use the interrogative, that is to say who, what, where, when, how much, how often, how long, whatever. Those are interrogatives, the question words. Or if you don't, you might have to use if or whether. And we're going to look at that as well. We don't always use interrogatives with questions. Are you coming? If I report it later, he asked if you were coming or not. Okay. Well, all right. Let's look at with and without the interrogative here, or the question words. Okay, let me widen this a little. All right. Okay. Let's take a look. With, all right, direct, reported, direct, reported. With an interrogative, direct speech would be, okay, if the direct speech is, I should say, why don't you speak English? The reported speech would be, he asked me why I didn't speak English. Okay. All right. He asked me why I didn't speak English. Okay. Notice one other thing. Reported speech of questions. Well, first thing to notice, it's reported. When it's reported, notice there's no question mark at the end. It's reported as a statement. All right. That's one thing to note. Also, notice the first part yesterday when we were creating reported speech statements, it was always, normally it's he said. Okay. He said he was going to the fair. You know, we could use other ones, of course. He shouted, he commented, he answered, what have you. There's, you know, depending on the person's delivery in the direct speech, you could change he said to other possible verbs, of course. However, reported speech for a question, well, Mustafa, let me ask you this question. Are there any other words in English that you could use instead of asked here? Brain teaser.
He no, he told me.
No.
He told me.
No, you cannot say he told me why I didn't speak English. That would not make sense. No, I'm saying there's a number of ways to say said. He shouted at me, he yelled to me, he
Questioned me.
told me, he questioned me why I didn't speak English. Not quite, but let's fool around with that for a second here. It is possible, okay, but you've got to do something really weird. You got to really change the. He questioned me as to why I didn't speak English. So you got to get really crazy with the sentence construction. Can you think of any others? How about, I'm picking on Mustafa here. How about anybody else in the group here? Can you think of another word, a verb instead of asked that we might want to use when we're reporting questions?
Actually, David mentioned a good one, like inquire, maybe. Edward.
Yeah, who said that? I missed that.
Yes,
I didn't hear that.
But I think inquire or request is more for ask for something, not
A request?
Yeah.
No, actually,
No?
he inquired. Okay, can we do this? Wait a minute. Actually, my brain is. He inquired why I didn't speak English. Yeah, he inquired where I was going. Why do I? Yes, you can do this.
How about he wanted to know?
Oh, all right, a phrasal. Okay. Why I didn't speak English. He inquired why I didn't speak English. He inquired where I was going. He inquired what was sitting on the fence. Yeah, we can do it. He inquired. Notice, however, he questioned. Okay, he asked me why I didn't speak English. It might not even be necessary to have this pronoun. He asked why I didn't speak English. By adding it, of course, it helps you know who is talking to who, so it definitely is going to help, but it may not be completely necessary. Notice I can't say he inquired me. I have to say he questioned me. You questioned someone. There has to be an object noun. Okay, Heidi, what was yours? I'm sorry.
He wanted to know.
Ah, okay. He wanted to know. What is wrong with my finger?
Why I didn't speak English?
Yeah, sure. That's a good one. Okay. There you go. It is possible. Okay, very good. All right. I don't know if there's any more, but that's pretty good. This one is actually the last one.
Teacher, can I say he wondered?
He wondered why I didn't speak English. Yes, you can. Okay, very good. See, once you guys get cooking with your brains there, you're on fire. He wondered why, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. He wondered why I didn't speak English. Uh-huh. That's a tricky one, though, Mustafa. It's a little bit tricky because when you say in reported speech somebody wondered, it's tricky because you don't know if, are you reporting that that's what they thought or that's what they spoke?
Exactly, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that one's a little bit tricky. Yeah, that one can be, oops, what happened there? That one can be a little tricky as to, you know, what you really mean. It could mean that he spoke it, you know, or it could mean that he thought it, so it's a little ambiguous.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it is possible.
Disha, how about he was curious about?
Oh, you guys are full of it, aren't you?
Would be correct.
That's very close to he wondered. Yeah, he was curious about why blah 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 blah. Again, that's kind of like wondered. It could be that he asked, he actually formed a question, or it could be that you're just saying he was thinking it. But of course, he wondered why. He was curious about why. How would you know it unless he voiced that opinion? You know. So, okay, it's not that ambiguous. You would never know that unless he actually asked you a question. So I suppose we can deduce that he must have said it out loud. Okay, but are you really reporting that's what he thought or that's what he said, or does it really matter? I guess probably not. Okay. Anyway, great job. Wow, you guys are way ahead. I could never have thought of those all by myself. All right. He asked me why I didn't speak English. Okay. All right. Notice we're changing the pronoun I, you to I. We're changing the tense don't speak to didn't speak, from present to past simple. Okay, just like we do in normal statements. Now, this one is different. Here's where questions get a little tricky. Direct speech. If the question is, do you speak English? Very direct question. Notice the reported speech. He asked me whether I spoke English or if I spoke English. I don't, okay. I don't think it's exactly a rule. Actually, I do think it's a rule. If you use if, then fine. He asked me if I spoke English. That's fine. Great. When you use whether, however, I have never heard somebody say, he asked me whether I spoke English. Stop. That sounds totally weird for me. I don't know if this is just because I'm old, it's an outdated grammar rule or what, but it sounds very strange to me unless you say he asked me whether I spoke English or not. Generally, and again, maybe I remember this from when I was a child learning English. I really, really remember being told that you can't use whether without or not. I want to know whether or not you're coming. I want to know if you're coming. Fine. Okay. All right. Let's try. I'll try some. Okay. Okay. Pronouns, tenses, place, time, expressions. We'll do some practice with that in just a second. It's just like what we just talked about at the beginning of the lesson. Okay. Besides, note that instead of that, you use the interrogative. If there's no interrogative, you use whether or if. Okay, what do we mean? All right. Okay. The statement or direct statement, right, direct speech. Whoopsie. Okay. He said she lives in London. He said, okay, never mind, he said, that's reported. That's why we have a hyphen, colon. All right. The direct speech is she lives in London. All right. So the reported speech would be he said that she lived in London. Well, that seems pretty obvious from what we did yesterday. Okay. No problem. All right. When we use the interrogative where does she live? Okay. As reported speech, he asks where she lived. Okay. No problem. Okay. Instead of that, okay. I don't get it. Okay. That seems pretty obvious. Without the interrogative, okay, what he actually said, does she live in London? He asked whether she lived in London. Again, I can't, maybe Brits are used to doing this. He asked whether she lived in London, but maybe this is a British-American thing, but this really drives me crazy. Whether, without, or not sounds wrong. Probably that's just my American English. He asked if she lived in London. All right.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand well the change of the tense of the verb, because, for example, if you ask me now where does Heidi live? And I tell you, I don't know, but I'm going to tell you tomorrow. And tomorrow I can tell you. Do you remember yesterday you asked me where Heidi lives? Because you and me, both of us, know that she's still living at the same place. I don't know why always we have to change the verb to the past.
Okay, I don't think we do. I think we talked about these yesterday in statements. Okay. Okay. In statements, oh, okay. In statements, if I think we looked at this yesterday. In statements, if you know that it is still true, you don't have to. It is your option.
Okay.
Okay. So I think this is your option. I think it would be equally correct. That's a very good question because it doesn't say that in this lesson, or it hasn't yet. I think it would be equally correct to say he asked where she lives, meaning
Okay.
now. And I do believe from yesterday's lesson in statements, I believe it's the same in questions, it is the speaker's option as to which you would say. And if it makes more sense to you, for you to use a present tense because she still lives there, then yeah, makes sense to me too.
Okay, thank you.
Right. In other cases, you know, where did Heidi live when she was a baby? All right, Heidi's not a baby anymore. She's lived a lot of years. Well, she's lived a few years. Sorry, Heidi. And so we might say, then we might change it to the past tense. You know, if it's something that a long time ago that's probably not true anymore, or there's a good possibility it's not true, then you would probably backshift. Does that make sense? I mean, that's just logical, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hello, Ken. Welcome.
Yes, hello. Thank you.
Hi. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. I see what they're. I got confused also with this that. They're talking about. Okay, instead of you don't use that in a question. That's it. Just to make it simpler. The document was a little confusing. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's pretty obvious, actually. Okay. All right. Now. Okay, so that's basically it. To summarize, if we do not have an interrogative, who, what, where, why, when we in the initial question, we need to use if or whether when we do reported speech. That's it. Okay. All right. Basically, that's it. Let's try it. Actually, let's try this. Let's do a quick round. Let's see how quick we can zip through this. Heidi, are you coming?
I'm coming.
Are you coming? How would I report that?
Uh,
Let's just do, he asked.
He asked me if I.
Whoops.
I was going or I went with him.
No, you can do coming.
Okay, I was coming.
He asked me if I was coming.
Not going.
Yeah. Are you coming to the party? He asked me if I was coming to the. Ah. Ooh, that's interesting, isn't it? Ooh, I got myself in a little pickle there. He asked me if. Okay, are you coming to the party? Okay. Okay, why would I say, are you coming to the party? If it was my party, right? Are you coming to my party? All right. He asked me if I was, okay, let's change this slightly. Are you coming to my party? I think you're right, Heidi. We got a thing like a here or there problem.
Going to his party.
He asked me if I was going to his party. Right?
Yeah.
Ah, good call. Good call. He asked me if I was going to his party. Ah, okay. Now this is interesting. I hadn't really thought about this, but absolutely it would have to be this way. This is because of the nature of the verb coming and going. It's very similar to here and there, how we use here and there. I think she is right. This works like the here and there thing. Okay, very good. Good call. Nice one. All right.
For example, mommy is calling her daughter. Yes, I'm coming. And then how can I change? Yes, I'm coming.
Yes, I'm coming. She said she was coming.
To mom's place.
Okay. All right. Well, again, depends where you are. If you're at your, depends where you are. Okay. If you're at the mother's place, she said she was coming. Because we're already here. People come to where you are. You go to somewhere where you're not. If you're somewhere else, she said she was going to her mother's house. So it's kind of like here or there. If you're there, then it's always here. There is someplace you go to.
And
here's where you are.
Coming in the meaning is much different from Japanese, so sometimes I got confused.
Yeah. I think not only Japanese, Heidi. I noticed that many students with many first languages find this confusing, actually. Yeah. Okay, David, enough with the Abbott and Costello there. Are you there? No, I'm here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. Have you guys ever seen Abbott and Costello? Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know who's on third. No? None of you guys have seen that? Ever? Really? Okay, that's it.
But I don't remember because I think it was many years ago.
It's a classic. Costello.
Yes.
Abbott and Costello. Costello or Costello? Costello. Just Google this to show you how confusing English is. Who's on first? Just Google it. It's definitely in YouTube. I've watched it before. I watch it maybe once a year just to make myself laugh. It's very funny. It's very how confusing English can be. But anyway, it's good for a giggle. To kill 10 or 15 minutes. Okay. All right. Let's see if let's play around here. This is kind of interesting. David, another direct question with no interrogative. Let me try another one. No, that won't work. Is your mother here?
He asked me if my mother was here.
Depending on where you are, here or
Yes,
there.
or there, yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. That's it. Very good. Good job. Gina. Gina?
Yes.
Am I stupid?
He asked me if I am stupid.
Well, wait a minute. He asked me.
If I am.
No, not really. Oh, this is.
But in the present, it's something that the last.
No, Gina. The problem is the pronoun. The question is, am I stupid? So he asked me if
if he was.
if he was stupid, right?
Yes.
Do you see it now? You see it, Gina? He asked me if he was stupid,
Yes.
not me. Okay. He asked me if he was stupid. Okay. Ah, tricky, tricky. Well, this is interesting.
So,
Okay.
can I mention something?
Yeah.
I think in the last, like, in this case, I think whether is more like suitable for it because whether you are stupid or not, so we can use maybe whether it's more makes sense than it, in my opinion. I mean,
Sorry, that was your I don't know if your connection or what, but I couldn't make heads or tails of that,
okay,
Mustafa.
okay.
Slower,
I
maybe?
yeah. I told you, I just told you, like, if we use like whether here, it's maybe more suitable than if, because whether you are stupid or not, so we can maybe use whether in this case, in my opinion.
Oh, weather. He asked me whether he was stupid or not. Yeah, I think the whole whether or not or if, I don't think there's any real rule. Again, I think that's speaker's choice. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right, Sasha. Have you been to Spain?
Okay. He asked me if I had been to Spain.
And here you go, Mustafa. Here's another one where it may make perfect sense. He asked me whether I had been to Spain or not. Right? It would make perfect sense to use whether there. He asked me if I had been to Spain. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Very good. Okay. All right. Very good. Mustafa, are we there yet? Whoops. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Okay, this is tricky.
This is a little
Okay.
tricky.
He asked me where we there yet.
Were more of an sound.
Where? Oh, sorry. Where?
He
Time for where?
Yeah, you're
We
missing
there yet.
something though. You're missing something.
Oh yeah. He asked me if.
If. Yep. Don't forget the if. We got to have that if or whether if there's no interrogative in the original question. He asked me if. Wait a minute, I got this wrong. We were there yet. He asked me if we were there yet.
When? Yeah. We were there.
That's it. Okay. We got it here. All right. Okay. Okay, Ken, is it hot?
He asked me it was hot. If it was hot, sorry.
Okay, if it was hot. He asked me if it was hot. Simple. Okay, you got it. Okay, good job, everyone. All right. All right. Let's look at this last bit of nonsense here. Okay. All right. Okay. It is also important that you use an indirect question in reported speech. For example, after the interrogative or whether if. You continue the sentence as if it were a statement. The auxiliary verb do is not used in indirect questions. Okay. Oh, I did not really realize that. It's just something I'd never thought of before. So, okay, in point of fact, you're doing it naturally every time you do that. All right, every one of these is, okay, you're stating it. You continue the sentence as if it were a statement, subject, verb, blah, blah, blah. There's no do. There's no do in any of these, which you just did. Oh, I didn't really put that together, but I guess it's absolutely correct. So you're stating it as if the reported speech was an indirect or polite question, whether it was or not. You don't really have a choice. You don't even really have to think about this. It's not even important. What's important is that you don't ever use do, because you never use do, or did, in a statement anyway. In English, you just don't do that. Simple present or simple past. You don't need do for statements, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. All right. He asked. Okay. He asked, "Where does she live?" Direct question. He asked where she lived. Okay. All right. Well, wait a minute here. Let's see something here. What if we ask? What if we have the direct question? What if the direct question is an indirect question? For example, could you tell me the time? Okay. How would that get reported? Heidi?
He wanted to know.
We'll do she in interest of fairness.
He wanted to know.
Okay. Ah.
The
okay.
time.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wait a minute. She wanted to know. She wanted to know. She wanted to know the time. Okay. She wanted to know the time. Oh, so you're taking an indirect question and you're actually reporting it as a direct question. She wanted to know the time, more or less. All right. Wait a second. Is there any other way to do this? David?
She asked me if I if I could if I could tell her.
Not to her, just tell her.
Yeah, if I told.
Okay. She asked me if I could tell her the time. That's it. Yeah. Okay. I don't see why that's a big deal. That's no big deal. That's pretty easy. Okay. Let's try something more complicated. Would you mind telling me where what is library? Would you mind telling me where the library is? Okay. For example, is this very difficult to do in direct speech? David, you want to try this?
Yes. She asked me if I. This is easy. I think now it's going to be harder. If I would mind telling her where the library is.
Okie doke. She asked me if I would mind telling her where the library is. Yep, that'll do it. Okay, so it's a little more complicated with an indirect question, but not really. it's easily doable. Okay, we don't have to do too much. Okay, so there you go. You have all the aspects of statements and questions. In addition, you have to be concerned with pretty basic rule. The no interrogative, you have to use if or whether when you do reported speech. That's pretty easy. You may have to manipulate things slightly, but hey, that's not the end of the world. Okay, last 15 minutes of class. Let's look at requests. We started to talk about this much earlier. Okay, well, we already know this. Transforming questions, we have to check pronouns, place and time expression, other things. Let's take a look at requests or commands. Actually, this should be commands, reported speech requests and commands. All right, because requests are usually polite and okay, basically would use the same structure as the questions we just looked at. Will you open the window? She asked me if I would open the window. Okay, basically the same thing. However, this example in direct speech is most certainly a command sentence. Carol, speak English. All right. All right. Reported speech, he told Carol to speak English. Aha. Something's a little different. A couple things are a little bit different here. He told. Notice we're not saying said or asked or any other. This is where, okay, Gina and I mentioned, Gina, that we talk about told later. Here it is. When you're reporting command sentences, okay, that's when you're definitely going to use the somewhat stronger told. He told me to clean my room. All right. Notice also, what do we have here? Instead of the normal verb, we have an infinitive construction. Even when my example, clean your room. He told me to clean my room. Okay. Yeah, all right. That's interesting. We'll practice that in a second. For pronouns and place-time expressions, same thing as statements. We've already talked about pronouns and practice that, and the whole place and time thing here and there. Now we know we have to be careful of coming and going as well. Tenses, however, are not relevant for requests. Well, okay, I would say they are relevant for polite requests. For example, would you mind opening the window? Okay, will you open the window as a request? He asked if I would open the window. I think that is definitely relevant. However, these more like command speech requests, we're just going to use to and the infinitive instead of worrying about backshift or anything like that. Of course, that's convenient because when we use the infinitive, there's never any tense with the infinitive. Okay. For example, again, she said, say hello to your mom. Very common statement. Say hello to your mom for me. She asked me to say hello to my mom. Okay, she asked me to say. Okay. Of course, in all command sentences, the unspoken but inferred subject noun, every sentence must have a subject noun and a verb. Although command sentences appear to not have one. Clean your room. There really is one. You clean your room. It's just not spoken. It is strongly inferred. It is known. It is there. Okay. We even conjugate the verb clean your room. It isn't cleans. You It isn't cleaned your room. It's clean your room. We conjugate it as if the subject you was there. So anyway, okay. You say hello to your mom. She asked me. Okay, there it is. The inferred you has now been translated into the pronoun me, and your mom becomes my mom. So, all right, so we're doing the same thing. Just remember that in a command sentence, the you's there even though it's not there. So when you're reporting it, you still have to worry about that pronoun shift or change. There it is, me. And then it's just the infinitive. Okay. For negative requests, use not to plus the infinitive. Well, okay. He taught me not to talk in class. All right. Well, the same as we normally create a negative infinitive. Okay. For example, don't give up, Bob. In reported speech becomes he advised. Ooh, he advised. That's nice. He advised Bob not to give up. Okay. Okay. That's interesting. All right, let's try this out. Command sentences. All right. Okay. Let me think. Ooh, okay, I'll tricky one. Where do we leave off? Gina. Gina?
Okay.
What if I command you? Let's see what happens here. I'm experimenting a little bit here too. What if I said to you, you need to study harder?
He advised me.
Oh, I advise you. Okay. Good. I like it.
That I
That.
needed to study harder.
Okay. Very good. Okay. This is. I was trying to trick you, but it didn't really work. Okay. This is. Although it sounds like a command, it's not really. This really is advice. Okay. He advised me that I needed to study harder. All right, you didn't fall for my little trick there. You could actually say, this is okay. All right, I don't have a problem with that. He told me I needed to study harder. Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. All right, let me try something different here. Sasha. All right. Let me see. Okay, no, that's all right. Fine. Let's do something simple. Close the door.
He said to close the door. To close the door.
He said to close the door. Close the door, right?
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
I said close.
Yeah. He said to close the door. Now, again, your choice of verb said is not wrong, but told is definitely stronger. And we generally tend to use it for this explicit purpose. In normal speech, in statements, oh, he told me you were coming to the party, he said you were coming to the party, who cares? It doesn't really matter. But in this sense, when we're doing reported speech, I do have to suggest to you, if you're reporting a command, it does make more sense to use told. Told being a little bit more strong, I think, in my opinion. I'm not saying it's wrong to say he said to close the door. I'm just saying I think it's a slightly better choice to use the stronger told. Okay. Okay, Mustafa, wipe your shoes before you come in the house. Come into the house.
Wipe your shoes before you come into the house. He told me he told me to wipe my shoes before I come into the house.
Very simple. All right. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Da, 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 da. Okay. Well, that's pretty simple, right? Nothing too tricky there. Okay. All right. Okay. Imagine a sign. Ah. Okay. Okay. Please have your passport ready. Okay, how do you report this? It is kind of a command sign. How would you report this, Ken?
A sign said.
Okay, yeah, you would have to say the sign said.
The sign
Yes.
said. How do you said to have our passport ready.
Our? Okay.
Or my passport.
Yeah, or our passports. I don't really care. But our, of course, can being plural. Our passports.
Passports.
Ready. And that would be very normal, actually. The sign said to have my passport ready. The sign said to have your passport ready. To have our passports ready. Depending on who you're talking to. Okay. Yeah, all right. So, okay, even though it's written material in a command sentence, you know, written, I mean, it's the message is on a sign. The sign said, yeah, a sign can say something. Perfectly normal. Ken correctly chose to use the infinitive again. All right. The sign said to have our passports ready. Very normal. Yeah. Yes.
What's the difference between this and the second one? Like if I said, the sign said that I must have my passport ready. For example, mine. Now.
Okay.
Or we can say that that I must have our passport. That we must have our passport ready. Or I must my passport ready. The same.
My, our, whatever. Okay, for continuity, I'll force ready.
That I must have my passport ready. Teacher,
okay, well,
if I mine. Yeah, if I it would be mine.
Oh, yeah,
if
okay.
We,
I'm sorry, yeah. Well, let me change I to we. Right. You're right. That has to agree. Okay, so you could do it either way here. All right. It'd be perfectly normal to say it either way here. The sign said to have our passports ready. Okay. That's actually fairly normal speech. Definitely heard that before. The sign said that we must have our passports ready. Okay, what is the difference here? Strangely enough, one, you're reporting as if the sign actually was speaking to you or commanding you, and the other, you're reporting kind of like what the sign thought. Or the belief of the sign as portrayed by the sign, so to speak. Well, that's had the same structure. Really, that's what you're doing. I know that sounds crazy, but really, if you look at the sentence structure, that's what you're doing, right? So you could say it either way. That's interesting. Sure. Okay. All right. All right. That was kind of cool, I think. Thanks so much. everyone. We're about out of time. Got to go. Got another class coming right up around the bend here. Thanks a lot. Tomorrow we'll look at some more complicated, weird stuff and exceptions and so forth that occur in reported speech. Kind of like I think the coming and going thing is going to come up tomorrow again. Anyway, thanks a lot. See you guys again soon.